Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into heart failure. And look, it's probably not what you're picturing. It's not that dramatic movie scene where the heart just stops. No, this is a different story. It's about the body's most critical pump just getting overworked, slowly losing its steam. And the craziest part, the body's own attempts to help can actually make things a whole lot worse.
So yeah, let's really dig into that question. What does happen when the single most important engine in your body starts to sputter and fail, when it just can't keep up with the demand? Well, as we're about to find out, it kicks off this massive chain reaction that ripples through, well, everything.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll define what we even mean by an overworked heart. Then, we'll look at the domino effect that kicks in. After that, we'll explore how the body goes into this crazy overdrive mode. We'll learn how to read the warning signs, and then, this is the hopeful part, we'll talk about the Fantastic Four treatments and what living with heart failure looks like today.
Okay, first things first. Section 1, the overworked heart. We really need to nail down what heart failure is and what it isn't.
Here's the key thing to get. The heart is still working. It's still beating. It just isn't strong enough. It's struggling to pump blood with enough force to get oxygen out to all the parts of your body that need it. And that's why people feel so tired. It's also why fluid can start to back up, kind of like a plumbing issue, often into the lungs, which causes that shortness of breath.
And this is a super important distinction to make. Heart failure is not the same as a heart attack. A heart attack is sudden. It's an emergency blockage. Think of it like a clog in a pipe. Heart failure is different. It's more of a long-term power failure. The pump itself just gets weaker and weaker over time.
All right, moving on to how this whole thing progresses. You see, heart failure isn't something that just hits you out of the blue. It's a slow burn, a domino effect, that happens in clear, distinct stages.
So doctors have broken it down into 4 stages. What's really interesting is that stage A isn't even heart failure yet. It's just being at risk. You might have high blood pressure or diabetes, but you feel totally fine. From there, it can slowly progress all the way to stage D, which is the really advanced stage where symptoms are severe and can show up even when you're just resting. Okay, now we get to what is, for me, the most fascinating and tragic part of this story. It's the central paradox. Your body is smart, right? It knows something is wrong, so it tries to compensate, to fix the problem. But its fixes actually end up putting more strain on the heart, making everything worse. It's a case of the cure being part of the disease. To really get what's happening, we need to quickly cover 2 key ideas: preload and afterload. Think of it this way. Preload is how much the heart muscle gets stretched by the blood filling it up right before it squeezes. Imagine filling a balloon with water. That's preload. Afterload, on the other hand, is the pressure the heart has to push against to get that blood out into the body. That's like trying to squeeze the water out of that balloon through a really tiny nozzle. And this curve, the Frank-Starling curve, shows you the problem perfectly. Look at the top line. That's a healthy heart. The more you fill it up, the harder it pumps. Simple. But now look at the bottom line. That's a failing heart. It gets stretched with more blood, but it's too weak to respond. Its pumping power just flatlines. It can't generate that extra oomph. And this is what creates that vicious cycle we were talking about. The heart's weak, so the body panics. It hits the alarm bells, which triggers hormones that tighten up blood vessels and make you hold on to salt and water. Well, guess what? That just increases both the preload and the afterload, right? It's forcing this already tired, weakened heart to work even harder against more resistance. This causes more damage, which makes the heart weaker, which triggers the alarms again. You see? It's a terrible downward spiral. So as this cycle continues, the body starts sending out some pretty clear distress signals. These are the warning signs. And doctors have gotten really good at reading them to figure out not just if you have heart failure, but how severe it is. One of the main ways they do this is with something called the New York Heart Association classification, or NYHA for short. It's actually pretty simple. It's all about how much your symptoms affect your day-to-day life. Class I means you can do pretty much whatever you want with no issues. By the time you get to Class 4, though, you're having symptoms even when you're just sitting on the couch. And to actually make the diagnosis, doctors often use a kind of checklist called the Framingham criteria. It's a system of major and minor clues. So they're looking for big things like fluid in the lungs and smaller signs like swelling in your ankles. If they find the right combination, it helps them put all the pieces of the puzzle together and say, yep, this is heart failure. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem, but the good news is medicine has come up with some incredible ways to fight back. So now, let's switch gears and talk about the solutions, the cornerstone therapies that have totally changed the game for heart failure. For the most common type of heart failure, treatment today is really built on what they call 4 pillars. We're talking about 4 different classes of drugs that all work together with one main goal: to break that vicious cycle we saw earlier. And these are famously known as the Fantastic Four. Each one does something different. One group relaxes your blood vessels to lower that afterload. Another slows down your heart rate, giving it more time to fill with blood. A third one helps you flush out all that extra salt and water. And the last one provides an extra layer of protection for the heart muscle itself. When you put them all together, they basically dismantle the body's harmful panicked response, and the results have been incredible. So, with these amazing drugs, what is it actually like to live with heart failure now? What does the day-to-day management and the future look like? Now, we have to be real here. This is still a very serious condition. That number you see, it shows that even with all these new therapies, the 5-year mortality rate after someone's been hospitalized is still over 40%. It just goes to show how critical it is to catch this early and stick with the treatment plan. But the pills are only one piece of the puzzle. A huge part of managing heart failure is actually in the patient's hands. Things like watching your salt intake, which helps control fluid buildup, staying as active as you can, and of course, quitting smoking. These lifestyle changes are not just suggestions. They're absolutely crucial for living a better, longer life with this condition. And this all leads us to one final big question. We've come so far. We've moved from just trying to make people feel a bit better to actually stopping the disease from getting worse. So what's next? Well, the next frontier is actual recovery. Scientists are looking at everything from gene therapy to regenerating heart muscle. And the ultimate dream, the goal that's now on the horizon, isn't just managing heart failure anymore. It's about one day being able to truly reverse the damage.